to the Kopite podcast with your hosts Mick Moran and Jay Pearson.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Kopite podcast. It's episode 2 of the Isolation podcast. I'm joined by Mick once again, obviously, and we have a very special guest today. Delighted to welcome Chris Pajak back onto the pod. Chris, thanks very much for coming, mate.
Thank you very much for having me again, mate. So I'll talk footy with anybody, you know this.
Oh, I love it, pal. I love it. Mick, are you all right, lad?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad.
You're still missing me?
Of course. Every day goes by what I don't.
Well, that's it, mate. Your chair's empty next to me. I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm in a fucking tent here, aren't
I? Well, the first thing, lads, I want to talk about is obviously the piece that's just gone up recently with The Athletic regarding the FIFA's decision to indefinitely suspend the season. Obviously, we know what the Belgian league has done, and obviously it's a different kettle of fish with the type of league that they've got. But I just want to get both your thoughts on that news, because obviously it's a weight off our shoulders, isn't it, Chris?
Well, with what Belgium have done and with what thingy, I think Belgium's slightly different to us, isn't it? Because you had a game left and only one team gets relegated, and by all accounts it was done and dusted. And obviously FIFA looking to indefinitely suspend seasons, which is what I think it's all about. But I think, look, the Premier League have already said they're indefinitely looking to suspend this season, so that's fine by me. I think I've always been of the mindset that I think money rules. And football clubs aren't going to just give up 10 games of a season when they can have those 10 games and then they can have a short break and have another 38. That's what they'll want to do, because 10 games might be £2 million a game day for Liverpool. You know what I mean? And so I've always thought, and FIFA are the worst for it. If there's no fucking football, they've got no money. At least the clubs have got other revenue streams. And what are UEFA going to do? Just cancel half a season of Champions League? And then what happens for the revenues that they've been paid by TV companies and all that type of stuff? Do they give that money back? They can't afford to give that money back. You know, football is obviously, it's a cash-rich sport, but it's on a promise of something. You know what I mean? These TV deals are done 3, 4, 5 years in advance. They're paying the money for something that hasn't happened yet. So when it comes down to it, the football clubs need to deliver, because they're spending it on players' wages and they're spending it on transfer fees. And if you then go, we need to give that money back. What if Liverpool had to give £100 million back to the TV? They'll be like, oh, hang on, we made £42 million in 2018, but we got £100 million off the telly, people. So we'd be 50 down. You know what I mean? And you look at it and you go, well, I can't imagine that FIFA, UEFA or the leagues really want to suspend anything. Now, if the leagues decide to, it's not going to be a one-size-fits-all, this thing. What might work for America might not work for Belarus. What works for Belarus might not work for Australia and England. You've got to... It's good, though, that FIFA are giving people the option, I suppose, and saying, look, we're not going to force people into getting this shit done. We are going to let you work it out at your own time, I suppose, because I hate FIFA, and it actually seems like they've done something right for once. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think, like you said there, Chris, I think this thing that's going to come out in hopefully the next 48 hours, it'll be properly confirmed. I think it's to give the flexibility by country. So, like you said, it's not going to be a one-size-fits-all. So, what's right for England isn't necessarily going to be right for Spain. So, giving us this bit of leeway, we can try and sort it out ourselves, and then try and work from there, which is obviously the best thing for everyone.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I think I'm sick of all the fucking bullshit that keeps coming out. Oh, we can't disturb the next season and stuff like that. You know, if we were 5 games into a season and this happened, then yeah, fair enough. But there's what, 9 games left, isn't there? There's no point disturbing this season. That's 75% done. This might not get sorted out till fucking November. And if we've got to start the season, then we've got to start the season. Then it's like we said in the last episode, Mick. If it comes to Christmas and we're starting a new season, then that's absolutely fine. That's what we've got to do. Am I speaking really biased because of where we are in the league? Yeah, too fucking right I am. But at the end of the day, if I was a football fan, I just think, let's just get this one finished first, because it's not just us that are in this position. You've got to think of Leeds, you've got to think of West Brom. There's relegation to still be decided. Fuck off, Karen Brady. We've got European places to discuss as well. You know, at the end of the day, Leicester deserve to be where they are. We can't just void the season and say, oh yeah, you're not getting Champions League football. Sheffield United have done so well. They've got an opportunity to get 5th place. You know, you never know where that might lead to. And there's just so many unanswered questions, and they all need answering, don't they, before we kick a ball for next season?
Definitely.
Yeah, they do. The other big question is, where the fuck did you go, lad? Are you still on video? I can't see you.
Have I disappeared?
I can still see everyone. If that helps.
Can you? Yeah, I can't see you for some reason, mate. Don't know what's going on there. What's going on here?
I've still got you two.
That's weird. Oh, there we go.
Nick, have you still got both of us?
Yeah. Mine's fine.
Sure.
Are you all right, Chris? Yeah.
I'm all right cracking on without being able to see it. I just was a little bit concerned that you just disappeared.
Oh, mate, you don't want to see the glare bouncing off my bald head anyway, so.
Yeah, missing nothing here, lad. Not seeing our faces.
Right, we can edit that. That's the outtakes.
But yeah, and like you said, Jay, like the likes of Sheffield United, this could be a one-off for them. This could be their best season they're ever going to have. So they deserve to reap the fruit of what they would have got this season. What might not happen next season. So in a way, we need to, like I said, it's not a one size fits all. But the teams that are doing so well need to be given the prizes that they rightly deserve. And the teams that aren't doing so well, the ones that are all fucking shouting from the rooftop saying for it to be voided, well, it doesn't work like that. Do you know what I mean? Like to come to a final conclusion is what is right for everyone, not just because Liverpool are fucking 25 points clear, which is true, but because it's the right thing to do ultimately.
Yeah, you lose the integrity of the sport, don't you, if you don't finish the season? You know, and the integrity of competition. I mean, why would you ever, and I keep saying this, I've said this to everyone that's asked me, why would you preference a season that hasn't started over one that's 75% complete? It's fucking baffling. Oh, the reason is you don't like how it's gone. That's the only fucking reason that I can come up with.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely spot on. And I think before the last couple of years, we'd have probably agreed in every single season, yeah, void it, doesn't matter. You know, 2011, 2012, yeah, fuck it, void it. Yeah, I'm not asked. You would definitely say the same thing. And there's a big shiny trophy that we need to get presented to us. And to be fair, this is a question I put to Mick on the last episode, Chris, and I'll see what you think about this. You know, touch wood and all that sort of thing, that it's still going to happen. I think we can believe that it will happen eventually. In terms of like the presentation, these players deserve to have us in that stadium cheering them on and, you know, congratulating them. And it would break my heart. Not so much if they're playing a game where they get the 3 points and the crown champions and no one's there. I get it. You know, we've got to be safe at the end of the day. We've got to play these games when it's safe to do so. But putting all that aside, you know, we are a football podcast. This is what we all do. It's what we all love. I would feel heartbroken if those players are lifting that trophy and we're not anywhere near them, which is why I was saying that I think it would be a great idea if the trophy presentation was delayed until the first home game of the next season when everyone's allowed in the stadium, providing obviously the government letters and all that sort of stuff. I think that would be great to do so. Obviously, they'll have to get changed and play the game and get back into the New Balance kit. But Chris, the fans need to be in that stadium when Hendo lifts that trophy, don't they?
Yeah, it's definitely not something I've even considered, to be honest, but I like the idea. I think the idea is boss, to be honest with you. I could be bang up for that because you don't want to miss it, do you? You don't want to miss out. And, you know, I think when it's safe to do so, I want to see a big fuck-off parade as well. Yeah. And what better way than maybe play the first game and then go on a fucking boss parade afterwards. Although you kind of, if you get beat in the first game of the season, that would put a little bit of a downer on it. So maybe that's a bad idea. Maybe you parade it first and then go to the game and everyone's like, it's the biggest coach welcoming you've ever seen because you've had 500,000 people on the streets or maybe 1 million people on the streets parading it, and then the players are going to have to do the warm-ups on the bus and stuff like that. But we get in there and we just go right into the game, no messing around, just fuck up the opposition. Game over, boss.
But that's the thing is we need to have a proper celebration. Yeah, I mean, people are saying, oh, you're destined never to win it. Listen, I've waited 30 odd years. I'm prepared to wait a little bit longer to see that trophy get lifted above Hendo's head. I'm absolutely fine with it. And if that's a case of where we play the first game in the night kit and then we go off, go get changed back into New Balance and come back out and lift the trophy, that's fine with me for continuity and photos. I don't give a shit. Just do it. I just think that would be fucking brilliant and it would wind everybody up.
Yeah, boss that way.
Yeah, especially if the fucking first game's against United or Everton, which it won't be, obviously, but it'd be fucking funny if it was. But Mick, the piece that you read in the Mirror yesterday, what are your thoughts on that? First of all, for those of you that haven't seen it, what is the detail on it?
So it's a piece from David Maddock, basically says a tentative agreement's been made with the government for a restart in June. Obviously, the Saturday 3 p.m. kick-off embargo has been lifted, obviously to probably go hand in hand with that. But it's early stages, I think, at this stage. Like, you think the amount of plan that's going to need to go into, like, players going to have to be kept in like strict, sterile environments, and it's gonna be a tricky one. Obviously, like it's going to have to be played by ear. But if it does come to playing behind closed doors in June, what do you think of that, Chris? Do you think that's something that's viable?
I don't know, mate. There's obviously going to be cleverer people than me and you, and to be able to work all that type of stuff out. But on the surface of things, it's not just the players and the playing staff, is it, and the coaching staff, but it's like camera operators for Sky or BT or whoever it is. It's obviously your match day crew. You're going to need police, you're going to need doctors, you're going to need nurses, you're going to need St John's ambulance, all that type of stuff as well. So how are they going to do this? I know the one thing that I saw last week, I'm sure everybody will have seen, was about the World Cup style camps and games in the Midlands and stuff. My big issue with this, no, it's not an issue actually, my big thought on this is they're only going to get one chance to do it. Because if one person gets sick, that's it. That's the end of the season, full stop. They won't try it again. And they're probably going to need to be a 2-week quarantine separate of each other. So let's say there's a cameraman who works for BT who's going to have to go into a 2-week quarantine at the same time as Hendo. And then after 2 weeks, they're going to go into another self-quarantine with everybody, because they're probably all going to stay in the same hotel or something for another 2 weeks. Then there's going to be a pre-season. Now, you could be talking like this actually could get started in May just to get games started in June. And is it all going to get started in June for games in July? I don't know, man. It's it's so much bigger than I think people give it credit for.
Absolutely. You can't just get 22 players on a football field. Like you just said, there's people, there's doctors, there's nurses. And I can't see that happening, if I'm honest. I don't see us. I mean, I've been furloughed for work until June, and that's just little old me who does fuck all for a living, as Mick likes to say. And the thing is as well, there's so many variables about it. It makes me feel sick of playing those World Cup games type style in the Midlands, because it means we wouldn't be at Anfield for it, and that just it's not even worth thinking about. I just, for me, just let it crack on and let's get rid of it until it's all safe to do so, and then we can all be in the stadium together. That's what I'd want. But with what Mick touched on there was the 3 p.m. kickoff rule. Now this is something we can do. I'd love to do a separate episode on it, but I want to get your thoughts on it, Chris. We've been hounded by this 3 p.m. kickoff rule on the TV for donkey's years now. So it's pretty much the same amount of time that we haven't won the league for, and I think this could be the catalyst to a massive change in how football's broadcast in terms of the 3 p.m. kickoff disappearing now, because we know the reason why was to get people in the stadium. It's now the other way around now. It's so hard to get a ticket for the game now, and this could be a great thing for the sport going forward, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could be. Look, Liverpool don't play many 3 p.m. kickoffs on a Saturday anyway, do they? Because they're on television all the time. So it's actually not something that really affects us as a fan base that often. A handful of times maybe a season, if that. I always like the American model of it, to be honest with you. And you guys might know I'm a massive NFL fan. And on NFL Game Pass, which is their subscription model, it's an app that you subscribe to. The games won't be broadcast unless the stadium's full. So, as a simple fucking rule, if your game's not full at 3 p.m. on a Saturday, you can't broadcast it. If it's fucking full, broadcast it. If they're the two issues.
Yeah.
It's not hard. You know what I mean? Like, maybe you could say it needs to be 90% sold out by the Saturday before. Liverpool's games are 100% sold out fucking 3 months before, so we'd be getting broadcast all the time. And therefore, it might be that the Burnleys of this world, where it actually might make more of a difference to, won't be able to broadcast their games at 3 p.m. Well, no one's asked anyway, realistically, because you can't fill the stadium. But it kind of would say, look, the Premier League is making sure it's commodity. It's Liverpool's, it's Manchester United's, it's Man City's, it's Arsenal's, it's Chelsea's. They're going to be sorted. And the other teams that rely maybe on match day revenue a little bit more, that's not too bad. And if you want to fill your stadium, I know what the NFL teams do is they give the tickets away for free if they haven't sold out. So you might have 1,000 tickets left, and they'll just go to all the schools and go, it's a fucking 1,000 tickets because I need the TV revs. So the stadium looks full. They're getting the television revs, and people in the local communities are getting in for free.
Brilliant.
Fucking winner.
Yeah, it's really good that. And I'm the same, mate. I subscribe to the NHL one, and they're exactly the same. There's sort of the blackouts do obviously occur in certain games, but the majority of every single one of your games from your team you can watch, which is wonderful for what a lot of people that support Liverpool outside of the UK. Because in America, I know you had Sheamus on the podcast from WWE, and he was saying he's got an app on his phone that he pays $10 to $20 a month for, and he can watch every single Liverpool game no matter what. So which is great. And Mick, you mentioned about Amazon, didn't you? At Christmas now, it was kind of cool what everyone liked about it. The fact every game was on demand, sort of, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's just ease, isn't it? Like it you think it's 2020, and like Chris just explained that just so easily, like something that's just so common sense. Why hasn't something like that been implemented earlier? It doesn't make sense. So why are we adhering to these prehistoric rules still, when the world's changing now? Like, it's so easy to watch a game on your phone or whatever. So why hasn't the world moved with it? That's my point. Like Amazon, when I think it was Boxing Day, it was the Leicester game, and there was a few complaints, like when people, if your internet's bad or whatever because you're reliant on your broadband and whatever. But if you're fine with watching it on the internet, then most people do anyway, because if you're watching it on a stream or whatever, you're relying on your internet anyway. So why not have a legal way to do it?
Yeah.
But even like a £10 a month, no one would turn nose up at that. £10 a month for Amazon.
No, that's it.
Pick your game, pick your commentary, turn the commentary off if you can't be arsed with people who are commentating, and crack on. Easy.
I pay 120 quid a year for the NFL one, something like that. And there's only like fucking 16 games in the regular season, and so by comparison, on a per game basis, you'd get well more out of that 10 quid a month for Liverpool, wouldn't you? You're looking at 60 games a season there. I'd pay a £5 at a game.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I'm going to half of them, and I'd still pay it. It is about making sure that everybody can do it. You know what I mean? But I think the Premier League will have to do something, and I think it's going to be the television channels that lose out in this, because I think the clubs will win. I think at some point, we already know there's a Premier League Pass, which is the official Premier League app. You just can't get it in the UK.
Yeah.
At some point, they're gonna do that. You know what I mean? They're gonna do that, and the clubs are gonna make a lot more money than they're making off television revs.
Quiet.
Shh, go away.
There you go, lad. You promised that it's happened.
Yeah, there we go.
Did you hear what she said?
No, what'd she say?
Go away.
Brilliant.
I love it.
That's the thing as well. It's like we've got that many frigging subscriptions coming out of our ears now. I've just had to sign up to Disney Plus. There's another one. Oh, I tell you, we've got that many fucking subscriptions going. It's unreal.
It's mad though. That's the way the world's gone, innit? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like when we set up Redmen's subscription thing, like Netflix hadn't even hit the UK,
Yeah, it was postal service, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So we nicked the terms and conditions off Love Film, I think it was, back in the day.
Yeah, it was.
I used to post the DVDs. See, Netflix didn't come out in the UK till 2012. Now everyone does a subscription, don't they?
Yeah.
I've got Disney Plus. I don't have Sky. I haven't had Sky in 4 or 5 years, something like that. But I have Netflix. I have Amazon Prime. I have Disney Plus, and stuff. And people are used to it, and you pay for what you want. And people would pay for the Premier League. Even when I had Sky, I paid it for footy. Yeah. And I got to the point where I was spending 100 quid a month just for the footy and some internet. And I was like, I can't afford that. It's just too much, like.
Yeah.
It is. It's absolutely ridiculous the way the Sky and BT got the monopoly. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes some of the stuff they broadcast sometimes is worth every penny. Like Monday Night Football is just arguably the one of the best shows in terms of footy. And even when Liverpool aren't on, you still find yourself watching it because you love the pre-match, you love the post-match. It's brilliant. I love the retro stuff they're doing right now. Watching the Liverpool-Newcastle game the other day was great. So they're filling the time with it. But Chris, you're absolutely right, mate. That Premier League Pass, that comes over to the UK. It's going to be huge for everybody. It really is. So just there's other bit of news that came out over the weekend. Mick, there was details around Liverpool furloughing the staff. And I know this is a bit of it's one of them subjects of the minute. Do we talk about it? Do we not talk about it? Well, I want to address it because I want to gauge your thoughts on it, mate. On how you felt when you first read it, that Liverpool furloughed the staff, Mick.
I think it's, I don't know, because we're such, clubs are always going to be targeted. Like you've got people in the government who are coming out talking about coronavirus, and then they're getting sidetracked and talking about Premier League players' wages.
Yeah.
So why is that a type of conversation when you should be allaying the fucking country's fears of what, and telling them what's going on and stuff? Like it's a way to sidetrack people. I don't know. It's been blown up a lot, hasn't it? Clearly, I mean, I know Carragher came out on Twitter and said he wasn't pleased with it. I think Stan Collymore came out as well and said something about it. But no, I think it's been blown up a lot compared to what it actually is. I mean, like Chris said, like was it 48 million profit last year or something like that? And I think Man City they've agreed to pay all their staff, I think, for the foreseeable future. So if it was me making the decision, I'd be just paying the staff from the profits that we've made, because it is a bit of a strange one to be eating into the government's funds. But then that's just me. What's your thoughts on it, Chris?
I'm really torn on it, to be honest with you, lads, because there's a part of me that goes, fucking hell, that's against everything that Liverpool stands for. Yeah. And it pains me to see it. There was a quote in Mel Reddy's piece that she put out this morning that said something along the lines of, it's like going to a food bank when you can still afford to go to Sainsbury's and buy your shopping. Exactly. And that's what pisses me off about it. And what pisses me off as well is the fact that they've gone over and they've used this is more slogan, and everybody's talking about it, and rightfully so, because they want to say that it means more, and yet they want to quote Shankly and socialism and all that type of stuff, and yet they're using the government fund there when they probably don't need to. But equally, there's a flip side of the argument where you can look at it and go, well, they're a business that pays a fuckload of tax in this country. They're entitled to be able to use that government fund like every other business, like McDonald's have, and they made 10 times, give or take, the amount of profit that Liverpool probably made in 2018, and they furloughed 15,000 staff or whatever. You've also got like the likes of the things along the lines of, well, football's a business first of all. You know, you can't be a socialist entity in a capitalist society. It doesn't work like that. You can't Liverpool, if we want them competing at the very top of the Premier League and at the very top in Europe, it's a fucking business, and we need to spend what we make, and we need to make as much money as we can so we can continue to spend and continue to attract the best players on the best wages and challenge at the top of the upper echelons of football. You've also got things like, well, we're hemorrhaging sales at the moment. There's not much merchandise revenue. You got that TV thing hanging over you. Are they going to be made to pay it back? If they pay 100 million back to the TV companies, that 42 million pound of profit is very, very quickly wiped out. Yeah. You're also looking at match day revenues of 2 million pounds. Each game is going to be wiped out. They're probably not going to get that for a long time. Even if football does come back, you're not getting any of the money coming in from match day revs, because it's probably going to be behind closed doors. Yeah. There's so many things that come into this, and people are saying things like, what about the players taking a pay cut? Well, let's say something was brought up on one of our shows before. Let's say Mo Salah's pay 200 grand a week, and let's say 50% of his wages go to the UK's government for tax, which is probably
true.
Yeah, right. So he's paying 100 grand a week personally in tax, right? You then knock Salah down to 40 grand a week. He's probably paying 20 grand a week in tax instead of 100. So the UK government's just lost 80 grand a week from one Liverpool player taking a pay cut. Well, hang on a minute. What's the government best off with? Paying them 100%? And then paying the tax into the thing to help everybody else in the furlough schemes, or everyone to be on 40 grand a week and the government getting nowhere near as much. Yeah. So there's so much more here than meets the eye. And I'm one of those people who, morally, I'm outraged. Morally, it goes against everything that I think Liverpool Football Club should stand for, because I hold Liverpool. I'm sorry for going on here, lads. No. I hold Liverpool to a much higher standard than I do McDonald's, because I fucking love them, and I'll always love them, and I'll take them to my grave. If I just don't like McDonald's, I'll go Burger King. Like, it doesn't fucking matter to me, you know what I mean? But then nobody loves McDonald's McDonald's doesn't have fans like a football club has fans, and we don't want to be told that we're consumers, and yet we are. We want to be told that this is more, this means more, and that's what we want. But they're flaunting that in our face at the moment because they're telling us this means more, but actually they're not at the same time. So I'm really right down the middle where I can see the business side of things, and I can see my football club doing something that goes against everything that I believe in. I'm leaning more towards the you pissed me off there because morally it's not right, but I don't understand the business of it, and I think it's very easy to get morally outraged about something when you don't know the facts and figures, and the only people that know the facts and figures work in that football club, and they might be able to tell you in a year's time Liverpool were able to compete still at the top because of the decisions that they made today, and I don't think any of us are in a really good position to be able to tell you what the right or wrong thing is, and people were saying I'm sitting on the fence and I've got splinters in my arse from it, and I have. But I also don't like making half-fast decisions from a place where I don't have every piece of information to make a proper opinion.
Yeah, and Chris, mate, honestly, there's about 50,000 people now fucking applauding you for that, mate, because you're absolutely spot on. I couldn't have said that any better myself. You are, without a doubt, right, and in terms of it's right to sit on the fence with it. Mick, as soon as I was like you, mate, as soon as I read it, I was like, you are fucking joking. I thought at first they were just using the term furlough to let everybody know what they were doing. And when I read the 100% thing, I thought, all right, well, they're paying 100% of the wages, the furlough, the staff is fine, just from a terminology perspective. But when I went a bit deeper into the article, I thought, you just don't believe it, do you? You don't think, Liverpool would never do that, they'd never do that. But Chris is absolutely spot on. I work for Huawei, and they're a massive company, but we've been furloughed on 80%. So, again, they're a ginormous tech company. Surely they can afford to do that. But again, there's sales that aren't happening in the minute because every phone store's closed, there's stuff that there's no training that's going on, and people have got to see the bigger picture, whereas you're just going to have rival fans just looking to take a pop shot at Liverpool because of this. And what you said, Mick, about City having all that money, they can afford to do that. But Chris is right. We are losing TV money. We are losing revenue in terms of merchandise. There is more to this than meets the eye. Definitely. And that's what we've got to look at. But I think at the end of the day, I remember everyone remembers the £77 ticket incident a few years back, and there was a bit of a U-turn from the powers that be on that, because they did understand what was going on, and it wasn't the Liverpool way, and what would Shankly do and all that sort of stuff. And maybe something will come of it this week. We don't know that, but I think people really need to see the bigger picture. And like Chris said, morally, yeah, we're outraged by it, but I'm sure it lies deeper than that, doesn't it? And we just got to wait and see. Yeah,
you just don't know, do you? This feels different to this ticket price thing for me, just from the simple fact that it was the fans that were getting, done out of something. Like, we were paying more money. I ain't seen anybody who's been furloughed coming up and going, that's terrible, because they've just been secured 100% wages for whatever.
Yeah.
And the people that are actually affected here aren't shouting up about it. They're probably quite happy that they're still getting 100% of the wages because they're fucking made up, because they were probably shitting themselves before all this. It doesn't sit right with me that we can afford to pay those staff, because it's such a small percentage of what the club outgoings are that you wonder whether it really makes a difference. And had Liverpool been the 20th club in the Premier League to do this, I'd have accepted it. But we're the fucking 5th, and we're up there with Newcastle and Spurs, and Ashley's a cunt, and fucking Levy's a tight bastard. And then you look at the other couple of clubs who are Bournemouth and Norwich, and you go, poor old Norwich and Bournemouth. Yeah. It's like, well, I'm holding Liverpool to a higher standard here. Yeah. I don't know, man. I just find it really difficult to make a call on this without knowing the full ins and outs. I tell you, I'm on the fence, but I'm leaning more towards moral outrage.
Yeah, and me and Mick are right there with you, pal. We got the splinters in our ass as well with you. I think you've just got to. I think everything that FSG have done over the last 10 years, on a whole, has been fantastic. They've rescued us from the abyss of administration and going out of business to, on the verge of being Premier League champions, and we've won the Champions League under them. So I'm not an FSG out person. I never have been, and I doubt I ever will be either. And I don't make these decisions. This is why I do the job that I do, and I don't work for Liverpool Football Club doing those jobs. Same way I'll never really criticise the manager, because I don't make the frigging decisions. You've just got to accept what happens, and time will tell. We'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, as fans, we've just got to We just accept what we read, and like you said, Chris, as soon as we find the details about it, and like Chris just said, then we're not, we're the 5th club to do it. I'm sure if loads of other clubs started doing it now, we'd be like, see, right, dickheads, you giving us shit for it. You're all doing it now because, like you said, they're a UK company. They pay the tax as they do, a lot more tax than a lot of other companies do. It's just laughable. It's just the pot shots we're getting in a minute from rival fans. It's just another reason to slag Liverpool. Go on, Mick, sorry.
It's because we're in the social media age where everything full and fucking knee-jerk reactions. So, because we are the 5th, like you said, Jay, if everyone starts to do it, then we can see the bigger picture. But it's going to be a year from now where someone can come out and say, well, actually, we need to do this in order to, like Chris said, to maintain and compete at the highest level. If we win the Premier League next year, and then they come out and go, well, this is the reason why, then we would give a fuck now.
It's unprecedented times for everybody. It's worrying for every single person, no matter what job you do at the minute, and everybody working at Liverpool Football Club will be exactly the same. And the last thing I would ever want is for any football club to go out of business. And if that is the case for money being passed down from the top tier down to the bottom tier, where Liverpool have furloughed their staff and that has a domino effect for the whole of football, and a football club doesn't go out of business in the lower leagues, then I'm perfectly happy with that, because it's going to affect everybody. And I'm just hopefully that everyone makes the right decision where football just carries on after this, because it's unfair for anybody to lose their job in football. You've seen that again, the news with Burnley. Burnley's chairman was on Sky Sports the other day saying we could go out of business, and that Burnley are in the Premier League, and I feel sick for them. I really do. And you just don't want to see that, do you?
No, not at all. I think the world's going to be a completely different place. I think we all know that, don't we? It's not going to be the same as what it was before this all happened, and there's going to be tons of businesses on the high street, football clubs. And it's going to take a long time for football to recover as well. Yeah, because the transfer fees, what happens to all of them? Because everybody's struggling, so they're going to go down. And then does it take time for it to build up to 2019 levels again? Could it be 5 years before football's the same? Who knows? Like, we just don't know right now, because we're still in the middle of it. We don't know when the end's going to be. So it's just very difficult, and it's such a mad fucking situation that it'd be very, very hard to try and guess what's going to happen next, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly, right. And fucking typical, it has to happen when we're on the verge of winning the bloody league, eh?
Oh, right there.
Everything just happens to us, but hey, deal with it, boys. Wait 30 years. I'm willing to wait a little bit longer now.
Too right.
Chris, we really appreciate you being with us today, mate. We really do, and we just want to say we're really enjoying your videos of your matches. It's boss, mate. I know you just sort of fell into it from your isolation stuff, mate, but it's brilliant as well, because it's giving people ideas on what to do with the kids while they're off, and it's how to juggle both work, and especially for what you do for a living is so heavily invested in terms of the social media side, the YouTube side, mate. And I'm sure you're an inspiration to many. I mean, I'm making a fucking perfect steak sandwich now, lad. That's brilliant. Yeah. That's absolutely brilliant. My wife doesn't, and I can finally cook something.
I was going to ask Chris, was it just like a spur of the moment thing you've done this? Obviously you've got more time on your hands now, but did you think about doing this beforehand?
I've thought for ages, like I wanted to do something, but I wanted to do something that wasn't footy. I wanted to do something that was just me, just fucking around and stuff. So I've always I worked 18 years in catering. It's been a long time since I've been a full-time chef, like, don't get me wrong, but so I've always had a passion of food and all that type of stuff. And then I've never really nailed down what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to do something around food. And then when it happened, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do a fucking vlog for the first day. And people seem to like the cooking bit in the middle. So I decided to just start making a few cooking videos off the back of it. Just fucking like home cooking, innit? You know what I mean? People like, if you want to do something fancy, go do something fancy. But if you want to just make what you've got with stuff that you've got in the fridge, then let's do that as well. Like, so I kind of fell into it, and I've also kind of thought about it for a while, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it's
perfect. The perfect time to do it, though, isn't it? Like, everyone's at home, everyone's probably got limited food, or they're waiting for stuff to get delivered, so they're trying to make stuff out of the stuff they've got in the cupboard, and then you're bashing out these Cajun wraps, and everyone's like, Cajun wrap.
It's funny, like, it's funny because it's just fucking just me sitting around at the end of the day. I don't want to be like a fucking massive YouTuber or not like that. In fact, the bad thing is, I've never really put my kids up on anything before, like, so that was a bit of a strange one for me to do it. But I got a few things where people saying, "Oh, you've put a smile on my face," and I thought, you know what, I'll continue to do it. Like, if I'm putting a smile on one person's face, then it's worthwhile.
Yeah, defo, mate, defo. Well, you put a smile on my wife's face, innit? Because I made a fucking tea for her, so with a steak sandwich, so she was buzzing. Well, that's for another episode.
Fucking hell. Yeah, fucking hell, that's news to me. Never seen you in the kitchen before, lad.
Honestly, it's Pajak magic, mate, I'm telling you. Well, listen, thanks again, Chris. Thanks very much for joining us today, pal. I really appreciate it. And Mick, we'll be back towards the end of the week, won't we, with something else?
Yeah,
Isolation day 3. Yeah.
Like a fucking Big Brother house, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, mate. Yeah. It's just nice to see your fucking face, lad. You know what I mean? Cheers, boys, and listen, thanks for everybody for watching as well, and give us a like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts on the stuff that we've been discussing today, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
See you in a bit.